It's enough, I think. It's enough, I think.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Green live stream. I'm your host, Edie Arndell, and I have my wonderful co-host over here, Mr. Scott Free.
Hey,
And
everybody.
We have somebody here all the way from Oregon.
Yes.
Esmée Silverman, nice to have you here. How's it going?
Great. Thank you all for having me.
Hey, yeah, we love that you're here. Thank you.
We met in Seattle. And then I think Ariel probably got us to like connect. So he's gotten us tons of great guests, and yeah, we're so happy that we know Ariel.
So happy I was able to stumble upon y'all's website and stumble upon y'all's podcast, because there's one thing about me, I love talking.
Yes.
I love talking and saying things and formulating sentences in my head.
I write them down because I forget them by the time it's time to talk.
Yeah. We kind of, after doing this for how many months we've been doing this, like 4 or 5, 6, I don't know.
Maybe 6
but
months.
we've kind of got a rhythm now. But so you're MediaCom Chair of the Youth Caucus. Did you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the Green Party has this incredible group, the Youth Caucus. It's called Young Eco-Socialists, and what we essentially do is we're sort of the youth wing. We're like the energy within the Green Party. We have tons of youth. They come in, they join us, and we put them to work. That's what all these groups do. But in particular, our caucus has so much, I talk about it so highly because we just have so much, both in terms of like potential for the future. Obviously, everybody says youth are our future, but I like to say that we're also the present too, because in a lot of ways, we're like one of the most active groups in the Green Party. We have a ton of high numbers for our membership. We have an incredible social media team that's getting started. Education team is doing pretty well. We do a lot of really fun socials. And the best part about it is that, if you're a young person in America right now, it's a weird time to be around. I mean, I just graduated college, and for the past 4 years, I was trying to figure out how I could get more involved politically. And it just seems like the Green Party has this awesome opportunity popping up where you have a caucus that can directly influence the party as a whole. And what I really love about the Green Party is that there's such a lack of discrimination against age here. I've met so many incredible chairs of co-chairs of state parties that are young people. They're college students, or they just are freshly out of college, and they're already taking on such an incredible leadership role. And I think that it just goes to show you that these young people that are coming straight out of the Youth Caucus, by the way, they're not just the future of the party. They're also like here right now, and they're putting in the work to do all these incredible things.
That is fantastic. Wow. Yeah, that's really inspiring. And I think you really hit a good point, which is the really cool thing about being involved in the Green Party is you come in and you can make actual change. You can have things happen. You get involved instead of like the monoliths that are the Democratic and Republican parties that, you're just a complete nobody for decades, right? I mean, here you could just get right in and get to work. So it's fantastic.
I think it's an incredible environment, definitely. And I think especially right now, we have young people who are, starting to, maybe they were registered Republicans or were registered Democrats at one point, and they're starting to realize now that the Republican and the Democratic parties, they don't really value the voices of young people, because right now they have, there's no plan in either of those parties to lower the rent. There's no plan to get a living minimum wage. There's no plan for universal health care. We have all of those plans. We have a plan for universal health care, for tuition-free education, for free gender-affirming care for trans people, especially. Trans young people deserve access to free gender-affirming care. And overall, we're really thinking ahead. I like to I like to use the word progress in this party because that's what we're all about, regardless of what one side or the other is saying. We're just off in our own direction, doing the things that are helping people. And young people especially are the driving force behind that. I mean, we have people in Arizona who are doing incredible on-the-ground organizing. We have people in Maryland, in New York, in New Jersey who are starting to organize political campaigns, and all these people are under 35 too. That's the best part about it. And your
So
point,
under 35 is the cutoff?
Youth Caucus, we go up and up. It's under 36, really.
Under
You
36.
can join, and once you turn 36, it's sort of like an age out period at that
He's
point.
like, get out, go do something else.
Congratulations, you're now an actual adult.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Woo.
I guess Zocker started there then.
Oh,
Zocker Siddiqui?
maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Zucker
He's
joined in.
amazing.
Nice.
Zucker joined in, like, I don't exactly know when, but we were on a call together. One of the most incredible young people I've had an opportunity to work with in terms of just
amazing.
energy and passion and the care that they put into this work. And I think the reason why a lot of young people are joining the Green Party is because they're seeing our policies. They're seeing the future of progress that we, are offering, and they're going, wow, I can get behind this. And, at the end of the day, I just think that we have the best platform. That's why I joined the Green Party, because we have the best platform. I mean, we have the best platform. We have the coolest people, and ultimately people just want to be a part of that. So that's why everyone's joining in right now.
Yes.
We already have some comments. Dave Dahlgren is here.
Okay.
And welcome, Dave. Both the GOP and the Democratic parties are owned and operated by the oligarchy.
Right.
They don't only discriminate against young people, they discriminate against people that aren't billionaires.
All
period.
people. Right. Exactly.
And then we have plans in the Green Party because we refuse the donor money.
Yep. No. Oh, that's it. Exactly. That is it. Exactly. We can make our own plans. Right. In the other parties, the donors make their plans. Thank you for that. That's perfect.
Yeah. I like to call them their owners.
Yeah.
They might as well have them on a leash,
Exactly. They do. They absolutely do.
We really are. We really are the party of the people at the end of the day. I mean, we represent what the people want. And at the end of the day, we can get a ton of people. I mean, I obviously am the MediaCom Chair for the Youth Caucus, and I've done work in youth organizing for the past 8 years. I started my high school's Gender Sexuality Alliance, and I've, over the past 8 years, been blessed to do some incredible opportunities with everybody from, nonprofit organizations to grassroots groups, to mutual aid funds. And I've been able to really get a glimpse of what everybody else is doing and all the incredible work. Been able to uplift a lot of awesome people, meet a bunch of incredible human beings who are doing incredible things that need to be highlighted a lot more. And I think that, I was at one point, I was a registered Democrat. After the 2024 election, I realized that I just wanted to be able to join a party where I could really make a difference. And I think at the end of the day, the Green Party is perfect for that.
It is.
I think that, if you're a Democrat right now, if you're a Republican, if you're somebody who's maybe on the fence, then just realize that, go up to somebody who's near you and say, what can I do to make change in this party? And the Green Party is always going to give you the answer of, I'll help you. I'll work alongside you, and we're going to create something beautiful together.
Yes.
Yeah. Or they're like, what do you want to do? Let's do it.
Yeah.
That's usually, you want to do that? Let's do it. And the Youth Caucus is very important because you're going to inherit this big fat mess that's going on.
Right.
A lot of us are going to have to suffer through it. Now it's kind of escalating, but you're going to have to deal with whatever's left after we're gone,
Yeah.
So you might as well fight for it now while you have people like us that's been through the fire a little bit, that's going to help you out, in any way that you want. So,
believe it or not, I have dealt with a lot more dysfunction in my lifetime. And I think that I was born 3 months premature, and I had doctors telling my family that I might not, survive, or if I did, I would have a lot of, issues, but I still persevered through all of that. And it's given me sort of a really good outlook on this life and on this work, which is that you just need to put in the hard work to make it happen. It's you're not going to always be handed the best cards in life, but you have to be able to work hard. And that's not to say that there isn't just like some extermination. There obviously is. But I think that I've always been under the belief that people are the most important resource politically, because they're the ones who vote. They're the ones who make these changes. They're the ones who bring awareness to people and create awesome organizations that support other people. And just being able to, come from, a Democratic Party to the Green Party is just an incredible experience. And it's really refreshing, because I've met some awesome people who, see eye to eye on a lot of this stuff. I don't have to constantly be explaining our policies. Instead, I can just work to make those policies happen.
Yeah.
Excellent point. Yeah, I'm sure Edie will say the same thing. That's the joy of doing Green Live Stream, is that we're meeting all these different people in the Green Party, and they're so energetic and exciting and full of ideas. And you're right, no explanations are necessary. We just go with it. Yep.
When we joined the Greens, we all agreed on the platform, and Dave's got another comment. We have a platform explained thoroughly in our values and pillars. The Green Party is attractive in many ways.
It really is. It really is. I think the main thing is just convincing people. And the cool thing about this country, I complain about it a lot, but the cool thing is that the mechanisms are there. I mean, the Republican and Democratic parties have done everything they can to block it in terms of ballot access. And I mean, there's just a million ways that they try to block it. But the reality is, it is there. It is possible to do. We can get elected to office. All people have to do is vote for us. That's all that's required. Well, we got to get on that ballot, but it's a great system.
So I wanted to ask you where they could find out how to join. I forgot to include that. So
that's actually a really good question. Our website's going through a domain transfer right now, so it's currently offline, but you can go to yesgp.org. If it doesn't look up right now, it'll be fixed within the next several days. Unfortunately, domain transfers take a little bit of time, and the back end of that can be a nightmare.
Can you spell that out for me?
It's yes, Y-E-S.
Y-E-S.
And then gp.org. So yesgp.org, 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 yesgp.org.
Yes.
I learned from one of my mentors that if you say things 4 times, then it clicks.
I just want to make sure I heard you right.
That's why the commercial liberty.
Right.
Like, that 4 times over and over again. All these other
Liberty. You're like, I'll never forget it again.
Right.
But
not that I'll buy it, but yeah.
On that note, one of the things that I've been working on in the Youth Caucus, especially, is we've been trying to make our platform, and more importantly, the work that we're doing, more recognizable to people. So I got elected to the MediaCom Chair, and one of my major priorities has been advertising our platform to younger audiences and trying to write it out, whether that be for policy. I've been working on one to lower rent. I'm working on that with some awesome people in Oregon right now. I think right now rent is just way too high for young people, especially. And, it's also the fact that there are these big companies that just aren't giving us jobs. And these companies are, the entry-level requirements are constantly changing. You have to have experience for an entry-level job, which is just ridiculous. And, I get it. There are a lot of people out there who say, well, you should be able to get a job if you're qualified. But the problem is that there are millions of people in this country who can't get a job right now. For one reason or another. And what the Youth Caucus is trying to do is we're trying to emphasize the platform that we have and the solutions. We're a very solution-oriented group. Democrats or Republicans can do whatever they want. They can propose anything we want. We're just going to keep going with our thing. For education, for example, we want to eliminate all student loans. We just want to forgive all of them. Want to make public education free. That includes, daycare and pre-K. Through primary and secondary school into higher education. We want to make sure that people, regardless of who you are, because we understand that, people are born in all different walks of life. And you could have an incredibly intelligent person born into a situation that would prevent them from going to school right now. That
Right.
shouldn't be the case. We should let them go to school so they can thrive and they could ultimately help this country out. They can create something better for this country if they want to. Or
Right.
maybe they just want to go and write a nice piece of fiction that influences millions of people. They should be able to do that too.
Yeah.
Whether you're an artist or a writer or you want to go into trade school. I think trade schools are another thing that we've been focusing on too. We've been trying to get a push for more funding for those because, quite frankly, the reason why we're losing manufacturing jobs to other countries is because we need to beef up our trade schools. We need to have more opportunities for students to go to these schools to get a good education in their field, and then go out and do some manufacturing jobs and do some trade jobs and fix some plumbing and wire some electricity.
Yes.
And we've also been, especially focused on obviously other issues that impact youth. Healthcare is one of them. Rights are one of them. Student rights are another one. There are students who are being reprimanded by colleges for simply talking about Palestine or simply saying that there is a genocide happening in Gaza.
Yeah.
And I think that is a complete violation of our First Amendment rights, especially as students. I mean, youth have been used to this for the past 200 years. We're essentially treated as property of parents, and that should not be the case. So what we especially want to make sure of is that youth not only are able to have these opportunities, but that they're free from any parental influence that might be there. And I think that a lot of parents do mean well, but we've obviously seen situations where parents are the exact opposite. They're harmful to their kids. They're taken away by the state. And in a lot of cases, they aren't taken away. The kids aren't taken away by the state when they should be, because the parents are abusive or manipulative. And I just think that there are a lot of priorities that the Youth Caucus has, obviously. I mean, when you're in a political party, you're sort of juggling around 150 different things, and you're lucky if half of them are still alive by the end of the day.
Yeah.
But the ones that I just mentioned, especially healthcare, education, and student rights, rent, those are the four big ones that we've been trying to emphasize, especially in our media releases and our social media accounts and in any events that we do.
Yeah.
Oh, there without a doubt. I mean, I live in Chicago, and I've been around quite a while, and I can remember when rents that kind of gradually increased. I'd say the past 8 years, it's been a massive acceleration, just massive acceleration. And I've seen a couple of charts too, where the line just like flies up. Oh, it's a horrific situation right now with rents across the whole country. It's just, I don't know how people can make it, and a lot of them don't. A lot of them don't make it. They're homeless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Homelessness went up like what?
13% in the
13%
last
under
year.
Biden.
Right, but I think it was in a year or something.
In a year.
I thought it was a year.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think you're right.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
we have somebody, Public Good, made a comment. The oligarchy-owned parties keeping the Green Party off the ballot is evidence that they are totally oligarchy-owned. And I
Yeah.
would also say that it also says that we can win should we be on the ballot. That's why they try so hard to keep us off.
Right.
If they didn't think we had a good message and they didn't think that we had a shot, they wouldn't worry about us.
Yeah.
But
Right.
they worry about us way too much.
Yeah. I think it's a testament to our platform that people are trying to keep us off of the ballot, because at the end of the day, elections should be free and fair.
Yeah.
And that's just, there's no arguing that. There's no other way of framing it. Elections should be free and fair. And in order to have a free and fair election, the Green Party should be on the ballot in all 50
Right.
states.
Right. And we do, as you're involved in communications, that's one thing that we need to get across to the public, is that the barriers that the Green Party has and other independent third parties have. I mean, the incredible barriers that are set up, they would immediately recognize that it's not fair. They just don't know that it exists. I think that's a big problem.
Well, we've made a lot of progress lately with our branding and our web design and our social media accounts. I mean, we've been giving them a really modern look. We've been brainstorming, how do we reach younger audiences? How do we reach the audiences? Because young people politically make up about 20% of the electorate, but I think if I recall correctly, like 80% of young people do not vote in
Right.
elections in this country, 18 to 25. And that shows you, that's not to say, that's not because young people don't want to not vote. That's not because there's 80% of young people are protesting. It's because they don't feel engaged or they don't feel heard. And
Yep.
what you have with, Republicans, you have some Republicans who, Republicans do a decent job with getting across to young people, because what they do is they tell you these ideas and they tell you the stuff that makes a little bit of sense, but it doesn't work in actuality. And Democrats do the exact same thing, only they get less young people, because their base tends to be a tiny bit more educated, maybe college educated, and they realize that, this doesn't add up. And the Green Party, we have this incredible platform of progress and change that we can bring to the rest of the country.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I think that is one of the big, I'm glad to hear that you feel like, youth are becoming more aware. I try to spend time on TikTok and Instagram and I see stuff, and again, I'm coming from another generation, and my generation, I don't feel like has caught on to the degree. There's a person who posts on Facebook almost every day about the fact, and they just keep saying, how can you as a person never post a thing about Palestine? I think that's what gets him the most angry. And it is true. I mean, of all the people that I know on Facebook, I think I'm about the only one who posts about Palestine. And that's just that. I know it's a tiny, tiny little thing, but it's a really good indication of people's mentality. I don't know what it is. They're afraid to post. I don't know what it is, but it's in the older crowd, it's a problem. It really is.
Fear is the true enemy, right?
Yeah.
I just figured out where I got that from. I didn't read the book.
Okay.
The Art of War. I got it from Star Trek because I'm a Star Trek fan.
There you go.
And I'm rewatching The Next Generation because my internet went out, and I'm like, well, just watch some Star Trek.
Oh,
but
Next
the
Generation.
second episode, yeah, it was
Okay.
on there. But anyway, that I digress. Yeah. So it sounds like Youth Caucus is doing a lot, but you're also on the GCCC, and the Outreach Committee. I just say Triple C. It's just easier.
Yes, one of my big projects, especially for the Outreach Committee and pretty much any group I'm a part of in the Green Party, is just how can we, reach more people? And that comes with, we're going to obviously have a base of supporters. Obviously, we're going to have people who are truly passionate about the Green Party platform. We're going to have a group of people who just really love the color green, and they join us because of those things. But what I really try to do in all those groups, especially outreach, is try to reach the people who maybe are on the fence about joining the Green Party, and maybe you're Democrats right now, maybe they're Republicans, maybe they're independents, and they see our platform and they go, I'm actually really interested in this. And some of the work I've done has been just updating websites, because that's the number one thing that people judge you on, especially today. Millennials, Gen X, even Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they all are spending their entire days on the websites right now, whether it be because they're work or because they just, they get home and they want to look something up on Wikipedia. How do we reach those people? The best way to do that is with a clean website. How do we reach people on social media? The best way to do that is with really informative graphics. How do we do that with emails, with other stuff? The best way to do that is with really cool art or a really good message. And we have all those things. We have all those things. We just need to chisel it. My job is essentially to be the sculptor in a sense, and just sculpt everything into a really good looking clay pot that is going to break apart on Mother's Day because I forgot to put it in the kiln.
There you go.
But
yeah, I was just going to say that the largest part of our electorate are the people that did not vote at all.
Right.
And I think it's because they have just completely checked out of the system. And I feel like that's going to be a hard group to win, but if you tell them you were part of the largest group, if all of you would vote, the whole thing would change. Content.
Yeah, and I think that there's a number of reasons why people don't vote. There's a large population of homeless people who can't vote. There are people who are undocumented immigrants who can't vote, even though they lived in this country and have worked very hard for the past, half decade, even a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who just do not know don't follow politics or don't know what's going on. There are people who don't have access to technology or the internet. There are people who maybe are in the military and are constantly away on deployment.
It is eligible to them.
Yeah.
The military. And this is from people that are eligible to vote. That was my understanding of that.
Yeah.
The did not vote that were eligible to vote was like a 265.
Yeah,
it would have been part of the vote for the 2024 presidential election.
Yeah, and I think the thing I've been trying to tell people, especially in the Green Party, and I think that people are trying to tell the Democrats, is that we don't expect to just be getting votes because we're the lesser of the evil, or because we're a tiny bit better. We have to earn every single vote that we get in this country.
Right.
And we do that by having the best platform, by running the best candidates, and by ensuring that progress is the name of the game at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I think our government right now is doing the opposite of progress. I actually think a really big story of this summer and fall. Like right now, I watch the weather obsessively, and we've had like 8 straight days of really pretty violent weather and disasters in Missouri and Kentucky. And both of those governors are begging the Trump to do an emergency declaration, and he's not doing it because that means that he would have to send out FEMA and send out funds. He even said once recently that he wants to get rid of FEMA. I mean, our country is going in the exact opposite direction. And I mean, the people that are going to suffer, they've suffered this week, and they're going to suffer over the summer and fall with the hurricane season. I mean, it's going to be a really horrific time, when these people are not getting any assistance. And, the Green Party is the party that people need to go to because, in either party, there's just, that I think Trump wants to just get rid of it all. The Democrats, what they call, privatization or, private public partnerships, which is just a cute word for privatization. And so they really, the Republicans might be more harsh, but they both kind of wanted to do the same thing. So I think, especially the Green Party with environmental disasters, looming in front of us, that I think that this is the place to be, and we're the ones who need to be there to get into office and make changes.
And the best part about this work, I feel like that the Green Party is this incredible area of intersection where we have political work that intercepts with organizing work, where you don't just have to rely on politics. You can rely on your community as well. Yeah. If you're, half an hour away from a community that's been affected by a tornado, you can go over there and volunteer, help build a house. You can give out food. You can give out blankets. You can offer somebody a place to stay if they lost their house. Yeah. It's really those community connections. And I think the Green Party does an incredible job with that. We have members who are incredibly tapped into their communities that are able to make these connections and are able to really bring good there. And it's realizing that, in any good society, you have a little bit of both. You have a little bit of politics with obviously understanding that elected officials hold an immense amount of power. They decide where your tax dollars go. They decide where public funds go. They decide what potholes are filled in the streets. And I have a feeling that my elected officials over here don't really appreciate me too much because there are a lot of potholes in the streets over here. But I think that especially speaking, the main point I'm trying to make is that we can be doing so much politically, but we also have to remember that we may not necessarily be able to break the duopoly ourselves, but by just doing a little bit more in our everyday lives, we can change somebody's life for the better. Yep. We can help people. We can create new orders in this world. And once we do that, that's when we can start talking about, this incredible political work that we do. That's when we can start voting people in, because when people see the kind and genuine people that we are, and they help us, or if we help them, they'll help us back, and they'll help us get elected that way.
Yeah.
Yep. I like to say, what was it? What was I said on Saturday? Or I forgot now.
Oh no.
Well, what can I do? Said 7 billion people.
Right.
Yeah, that's an incredible question that I get asked constantly, what can I do about it? And I think that's why in 2024 we saw a number of people who just didn't vote, or they voted, for the Green Party, or in a lot of ways they just didn't vote because a lot of people said, well, what's my vote going to do?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we have a lot of people in this country who believe that their vote isn't going to do anything. And that's just a problem. And I think that the Green Party especially have been trying to emphasize local politics too. Where does all that money go locally? How do local officials help? And especially, when you have a Congress that's controlled by either Republicans or Democrats, or you're just one person in a sea of people, how can you make that change to your communities? And I think that you can use your privilege to be able to do that too. You can go to your town, you can, volunteer at cookouts. We need to redefine what politicians do, because right now politicians they serve, their own interests first, and they serve the others. There are a couple of notable exceptions to that, obviously. There are some people that are much more sympathetic to the people's needs, and they, are much more responsive. But for the most part, I'd say a lot of these people, when was the last time a lot of them have held town halls before, 2025? Because a lot of these people, I bet you they haven't held town halls in years. And
well, I know why.
Yeah.
They're getting screamed at. I mean,
we all know
people
why.
are very, very unhappy. Like my rep is Mike Bost. He's on armed services or something. He's a total Trumper. You never hear about where he's going to be. You always hear about where he's been. And I think that's very intentional. I've been to his office a few times. He's never there.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just going to ask everybody to help us reach our 500 subscriber goal.
Yes.
We're at 488. We only got 12 more to go. We got 65 people watching. Woo!
Okay. So go over there and hit
wonderful.
the subscribe button, please.
Yeah, let's crush that right now.
Yes.
If you're not a subscriber yet, please subscribe. And if you are, please share it at least to 2 people. That would be wonderful. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, I wanted to add to the last part of the conversation is that, there are some politicians that mean well. I mean, they definitely mean well, and they want to do good, but they got the Democratic Party or Republican Party down on them to make sure that they do what they're supposed to do. That's the difference. That's the difference between a Green being elected to office and a Democrat or Republican being elected to office. They got somebody down on them, making sure that they're going to do what they are supposed to do. The Green Party is truly independent. Jill Stein's not down there yelling at people what to do. It doesn't work that way. That's not the Green Party.
No.
Yeah, and I think we have a bunch of really good guiding principles that, allow us to ensure that progress is kept. But we also have, a lot of people who are running for us in this party that are incredibly, progress-oriented people who believe that we need to be truly representative towards the people. And I think the best part about our platform is that it's made by the people. So you have to at least, have a good relationship with us if you want to get elected.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've definitely been pushing Andy Ellis, who's running for governor of Maryland. Folks, go check him out. And also Butch Ware running for governor of California. Go check him out. We really want to try to be pushing the campaigns of people all around the country. And I know those are 2 of the big ones. And there's plenty of people who are running on local offices that we want to promote too, because, it is getting in as a Green person is a very different type of space to be in.
Yeah. And I put Andy Ellis for governor, gogreen2026.com down there in the ticker. And we also have the Butch Ware one, butchwareforgov.com.
Work those banners.
Yeah. I love pushing the buttons. But we had a comment that I think we should talk about.
Oh, we have. Yeah, we've been missing the comments here.
Hang on. I'm going to get something else up here. Oh, and if everybody could donate to the Illinois Green Party, that would be amazing. So I'm asking for $26 for
Ding.
2026. And if you look up there, there's the QR. Or you can go to that website, www.ilgp.org/donate. But
And
let's
that-
get to this comment.
Yes.
Oh, Kalia's here. What's up, Kalia?
Hey, Kalia. Oh, there's Steve.
Go ahead and read it. Steve Shapiro.
Steve Shapiro. We need to get Bernie and AOC to leave the undemocratic party. Yeah, no. They never will. Trust. They're there on purpose. It's not. Yeah, don't give them credit. Don't think that they're. No, I mean Nina Turner. Maybe a Nina Turner might. No, Bernie and AOC for years. That's been part of their plan. That's their duty. That's their job at the Democratic Party. They love doing what they do. So I don't think it's going to happen. That's my personal opinion, but
Mine too.
I've never, I never thought I was going to leave the Democratic Party at one point, and then I found my way here. And I think that I always keep an open mind with people because I realize that people are very receptive to the changing tides of our minds and the society around us. And I think that even people like Bernie and AOC can be convinced to join us, or maybe they can be convinced to run independent. Bernie Sanders is an independent. He's, obviously, I think he supports the Democratic Party because he realizes that, a couple of years ago, maybe the Green Party, while we were still starting up, maybe it just needed a little bit more time to get fully, formed. But I think right now, especially, would be a perfect time, especially if you have somebody who's a Democrat in your life, or if you have somebody who's a Republican in your life who maybe feels like the party is starting to lose touch with them. Maybe they're affected by the recent tax breaks on the wealthy and the recent, or maybe they're about to be affected if the Medicaid bill passes, the cuts to Medicaid. I think that there's plenty of opportunity for people to join parties and for alliances and allegiances to shift. I just think that we have to put in the hard work and make it happen.
Yeah, and I am a harsh person, I'll admit. But I also, what I don't want is the people who think that AOC or Bernie might come around to kind of stick with the Democratic Party just in case that happens. No, please. And the other thing I will say is quite a few, I don't know when it was, but somebody asked Bernie directly, why in 2016 didn't you leave when you had the chance and run third party, independent, green, whatever, just leave? And he said, I don't want to end up like Ralph Nader. So he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows the history of the Green Party. He's fully aware. That's all I'm going to say. He's fully aware he made his choice. And so that's my issue, is that, they're going to try. His purpose is to keep people in the Democratic Party, which when they get in power, guaranteed they will get nothing of what you talked about it with the platform, which they've stolen a lot of our ideas. Medicare for All was a Ralph Nader idea like 30 years ago, right? Yeah. And I think it was Howie Hawkins was Green New Deal, and AOC stole that one, right? Mm-hmm. So they steal our ideas, but that's all part of the plan.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve. I don't think they will either. I just wanted to comment, that'd be great, but times are changing.
Yeah.
It would be wonderful if the oligarchy tour was there supporting the Green Party. Can you imagine?
Yeah, right.
But
it ain't.
The DNC and the Democratic Party have their hooks in those people. You can't get to that level without selling out on some level. I mean, it's just almost impossible.
Yeah, there was that bill. It was a bill to both starve and bomb Palestinians, because it was pulling out UNRWA at the same time it was funding bombs. Every single Democrat voted for that bill. Every single one. So,
and I wear this everywhere I go.
If you are on a national level in the Democratic or Republican Party, well, Republican parties, they don't sell out. They were evil from the beginning. But if you're on the national level in the Democratic Party, you have sold your soul. There is no doubt that you have. So,
well, I think that's a good segue into the next question I have for you. So you just got a degree in religious studies. Yeah. And maybe this is kind of a hot button, but it just occurred to me to ask you, what do you think of all this Christian nationalism that's happening?
Oh, I have opinions about Christian nationalism.
Any that won't get us in trouble, but
Oh, it doesn't
okay.
matter. No, not here. Say what you want. Say
Yes.
what you want.
I think to start, the reason why I got a degree in religion instead of something like psychology or philosophy, well, I didn't get a degree in philosophy because I almost failed logic, the course that I was required for taking it. So I had to find a new major pretty quickly.
Wow.
But I could have done, history or sociology or psychology. I chose religion because I wanted to be able to, understand where more people were coming from. Because a lot of the people I've met, religion plays a part or has played a part in their life in some way. Maybe it was the stories that your mom or dad told you as a kid. Maybe it was maybe you grew up in a very religious household, or you just enjoy learning about religion. I wanted to understand those people and better have conversations with them. So I got a degree in religion because I wanted to, better understand the world and better understand where people were coming from, especially, people who are very different ideologically from me, especially Christian nationalists, because I want to understand, why do you believe what you believe? And how can we, find some crossroads here? I attended last year this incredible interfaith summit in Chicago, and I got to meet people of all different religions. There were Jews, there were Christians, there were Muslims, there were Hindus, there were Buddhists, there were Sikhs. There's everybody it was incredible. And what that taught me is that we may all have incredibly different paths in life. We may have incredibly different teachings, but that willingness to come together, it doesn't just come from, screaming and yelling at each other. It comes from a deep desire within us to befriend more human beings, to bridge these gaps that we might have, to understand that we're all living on this planet. We might as well do it harmoniously.
Mhm.
And Christian nationalism right now is a lot of the reason why religion spreads is because, in some part, desperation. People, historically have had famine hit them, and they've turned to religion. People have had sick loved ones; they've turned to God to heal them.
Mhm.
And I think that people use religion as an ability to sort of, explain what's happening in this world, and especially these bad things. And what we see with Christian nationalism is a lot of these people who think that the only way they're ever going to be safe in this world is if they, try to spread their Christianity to everybody else. And if they try to, spread America's vision, because they believe that's the only way they're going to be kept safe. And it's tragic that way. I mean, as a Jewish person, I can empathize with that. I've always felt much more comfortable in Jewish spaces and Jewish communities. And I've always had a very difficult time with, being outside of those spaces, because I realized that the world is very different from what I was taught as a kid. And when I see these religions, I look at them with curiosity and I say, well, I want to talk to these people. I want to get to know them. I've had conversations with neo-Nazis and Proud Boys and people who are picketing at pride parades, because I want to understand what they're thinking. And what I found with most of these people is that they're family men. They care about their families. I obviously don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but they talk about their families highly. They talk about their people highly. And maybe, just maybe, there is a way that we can drop the Christian nationalism. Maybe there's a way that we can find a new path for people to be on. Maybe there's a way that we can come together as human beings and understand that yelling at one another or making, weird goughs is not going to be the answer. Maybe our answer is just being human beings with one another. It's understanding that we have differences in opinions, that we have differences in how we live. But the one thing in America, especially, that has always united us is our ability to find other ways to exist as a country. It's always our ability to look at these horrible wrongs that have existed, and we persevered through them. And I think Christian nationalism is going to be another example of that. Nobody thought that slavery would end 200 years ago, yet we managed to. It took a lot of bloodshed, and it took a lot of suffering, especially from Black people, brown people. But we managed to rid the United States of that. Obviously, there are private prisons still. But,
Yes.
Yeah.
And the Green Party has a plan for that, let me tell you.
Oh my God.
But
And reparations. We have one of the strongest reparations.
reparations, we never thought that any of that, or gay marriage, for example, would be possible, but it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe we
I was
just have
going
to
to say
find,
NGI and veteran rights as well. There's so much
Yep.
in there. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
maybe we just have to find other ways to do these things. And if something is not working, then there's no shame in, saying that it's not working and then finding another solution for it. That's what I like to say. I mean, I've been in community spaces, or something that being in the LGBT community has taught me is that exploration of identity and exploration of your moral values, that's not something that needs to be, set in stone for the rest of your life. It's not like, what are you doing for the rest of your life once you get out of high school? Well, you have to take a degree and stick with it in college or something like that. It's not like that.
Yeah.
That's
That
the
changes
lie.
over and over. Yeah.
That's the lie that they tell you.
Yeah.
We-
Somebody did have a question. How does someone get on the outreach committee?
So that's a good question. So one of the reasons why I love the Illinois Green Party, among other state parties, is that if you join them, you can get appointed to these awesome groups of people. So if you join the Illinois Green Party or whatever state you happen to be in, then you could ask them, hey, I want to join the outreach committee, or I want to join this committee or that committee. And I'm working on making it easier for people to join these committees so that, you all can just get plugged in right away. My philosophy has always been just plugging people right into the work and allowing them to thrive. And if you join your state party and just ask them, I want to join this group, then they'll send in an appointment over to us, and we'll just say, yeah, sure, you can join us. We'd be happy to have you.
And no, that kind of a good segue for our little plug of our Thursday night. We do have Thursday night hangout on Zoom that people can see over at ilgp.org/events. Every Thursday night we're there. You don't have to be a Green Party member. If you kind of want to check us out, you can just come in and hang out on Zoom. And because I think that's really important that people can be in the Green Party space without making some dedication that they're going to join the Green Party. I want people to feel comfortable and just to get, a feel for what people are in the Green Party are doing. So that's why we have that every Thursday night Zoom hangout thing that we do for Illinois Green Party. So wanted to plug that one.
Yep. And you're also Pacific Green Party of Oregon steering committee, or soon to be?
Yeah, that's correct.
You're very busy.
Yes. I was juggling around a thesis on top of that, and I nonprofits. So I've been incredibly busy over the past couple of months or weeks, especially. But the Pacific Green Party of Oregon is just an incredible group of people. We're starting to, get our in-person stuff set up again, and really, try to focus our, policy and our outreach on Oregon in particular. But I think one of the, I can talk about all the stuff we do incredibly one day. I think there's always room for improvement everywhere we go. And I think, especially, when you look at the Green Party, I think one of the reasons why, people might not take us as seriously is because of our websites or because of our social media accounts. And there's a certain amount of professionalism that, we have in these groups that, you need to have. I'm not saying go and emulate the Democratic Party in every single way. That obviously would not end well, but it's funny. I guess we could, because if they've stolen from us, I guess we could steal from them, and maybe it's just like it's friendly borrowing a little bit.
There you go.
They'll probably sue us for anything that we borrow from them.
Well, yeah, good point.
I've spoken to plenty of Democrats out there, and they have told us, they've told me that they'd be more than willing to work with the Green Party if we were both elected, because they believe that progress is what drives this country. And it is. We've come so far over the past 300 years. there's just been so many accomplishments that have been made that people would never thought was possible. And I believe fully that young people are going to be the ones that drive those accomplishments, especially today. Because you see young people across the country right now, they're standing up for a group of people who have been suffering for
Oh
decades.
God, incredible.
Yeah.
Just, I know that's one thing that has really floored me is that the things that the students have done, putting their own careers and on the line, and they are back with all of the threats against them. I mean, really, really serious threats against them, and they're still back protesting. It's really inspiring. It's really
Because the
inspiring.
morality is there. They know. They saw it. You're not going to tell them any different. I saw it on the videos on Instagram, and you're not going to tell me any different.
Right.
I'll tell you. I mean, I come from a very Zionist family. And,
oh wow.
Sorry.
They, they're Jewish Zionists. There's a difference between Christian Zionists are nuts. Let me just say that out loud right now.
Oh, that's a
Jewish Zionists. I've seen a lot of them are ancestors of Holocaust survivors who were traumatized, or Jewish people have been persecuted against for thousands of years. And I think that when I was talking to my brother about this issue the other day in my family, because they were over for graduation, and they were asking me why I stand up for this type of work, and I just say that I stand up for it because I can't keep seeing children get murdered.
Oh God.
If you're murdering children, if there are children who are dying because of your actions, you're probably not doing something right. You're probably doing something wrong. Correction, you're doing something wrong.
Israel.
And, October 7th was traumatic for me. It was a traumatic day for many Jewish people. Yeah. But what it did was it further escalated the attack against this group of people who can't defend themselves. They can't, do anything about it. And, people will say, oh, well, they just keep electing Hamas. Hamas has guns. Have you ever tried to elect against a group of people who have weapons? They will shoot you. They will shoot against any opposition group that is out there.
And also it is the UN resolution that a group that is being oppressed has the right to resist. That's a UN resolution that they do have that right because they are oppressed and they've been occupied for decades. So, I mean, that's, that argument exists too. But I also wanted to just say that I think it's, you brought in your study of religion, and I do think it's really fascinating the way that religion has tied into what we're doing now, because it is Muslims who are being killed. And we're hearing from Muslim voices, and Butch Ware, who's running for governor of California, and even in our history of political activism in America, the Muslim voice has always been important, right? Malcolm X. And there's this guy that I love on YouTube. Now he has a different viewpoint than I'm an atheist, and so his viewpoint is Islam is the only way, and I don't agree with that, but his takes are fascinating. And it's called, I'm going to just give a plug, it's called Middle Nation, and his name is Shahid Bolson, and he just does fascinating takes on all of these issues, but definitely from the Muslim viewpoint. And I think it's really important that that's what's happening in our current movement. Oh, I missed that comment. Sorry.
Sorry, I was trying not to interrupt.
Yeah.
Just saying great discussion.
Yeah.
Keep going. I made him lose his train of thought. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, but no,
young people are getting involved, and yeah,
young people are 100% getting involved in this work, and I think especially when you see people your own age who are having their limbs fly off, it's a very painful sight. I've had the terrible displeasure of watching, of hearing of my family members who have been killed in this conflict. I've heard the displeasure of friends of mine who have had family members killed. Seen the photos on Instagram. They're very hard to look at, and it's definitely I've had to grow a lot as a human being over the past couple of years to fully comprehend this. And I just think that at the end of the day, what the United States could be is a country that sees this, a country that sees two terribly traumatized groups of people historically fighting against one another, and say, we need to stop this. We cannot let this happen any longer. And realize that, that religious states or ethno-nationalist states, in a lot of ways, they put the religion over the people, and the state of Israel is no exception. They try to uphold their religion and, those things, and they will sacrifice as many people as they need to in order to get that. And
Right.
that's how people buy into religion, is that it's for the greater good. The sacrifice is worthy for the majority. And I think that when I look at all this work that's being done by students right now and standing up for this, it's very powerful. I also look at, what the United States is doing right now, and they are letting this happen. I mean, we are, funding this. Our funding is going to the state of Israel, and they're using it on weapons, and they are firing them on Palestinians without any care of who they hit, because they want to try to get rid of a group that is, killing them. And it's just a never-ending cycle of violence. And we have to recognize that, especially as a group of people, that we may not be able to stop the war ourselves as individuals, but as a group of people, we can elect a president, we can elect a Congress that recognizes that these are two traumatized groups of people and treat them like traumatized groups of people, giving them care, giving them aid, giving them support. And obviously accountability is on the table there too. I mean, there are people like Netanyahu, groups of members of Hamas. They need to be held accountable for their actions because they've destroyed lives, they've destroyed families. But we also need to be looking ahead in this issue and saying, well, because Democrats and Republicans clearly are either content with this happening, or they are softly saying that we need to end the war without any actual plan to. We need to end this war, because I don't want to see any more of my family members get killed. I don't want to see any more of my friends' family members get killed. And more importantly, I don't want to see little babies get killed anymore.
Right.
I almost died as a baby. I was born 3 months premature. None of these babies in Palestine have that luxury right now. And I think that as a country and as people, we need to be looking at this and saying, these are traumatized groups of people, and we need to be giving them support and care. And we need to be stopping this conflict rather than just letting it go out, or rather than trying to justify it with some religious doctrine or some, thing like that. There are people's lives on the line. And unfortunately, Christian nationalists, Christian Zionists, they are more than happy with letting this continue because they have no personal relationship with any of this. They have a religious justification, and they don't care. And that's the part of the problem, is that we as Jewish people, maybe as Muslims or as Jewish people, we've all put our religion over our people in some ways. And right now there are a number of us who are starting to put the people over the religion, and those people are in the Green Party.
Yeah, and it's too bad, it's sad, the Green Party isn't running our government, because then none of this would be happening. And Biden, there's a great famous quote from Biden, and he said, if Israel didn't exist, we'd have to invent it. I mean, Israel is the military outpost of the U.S. I mean, we can say, oh, Israel did this. Oh, how can we let them? Israel and the U.S. are really the same thing. They're really the same thing. And the thing is, the other thing that I always try to emphasize is it's not a war. It's not a war. One side has an army. The other side has a couple of guns. It's not a war. It's the bombing of a concentration camp. Maybe that's a closer way of looking at it, but it is not a war. And I think that, again, on top of all the incredible atrocities, now the number one thing that we're dealing with is starvation. They are starving them to death. And the fact that we have people in our government, we have got the wrong people in our government at this time. That is for sure. It sickens me that we have people in our government that are just going to let this happen. And it's a sad state of affairs, but hopefully in the future, we will learn from this lesson and start supporting the Green Party of people of humanity instead of the nightmares that run this country.
Yeah, and we know why. And we know why they vote the way they do, because they're choosing their careers over the American people's wishes. They're choosing their careers over doing the right thing. And if they step out of line, APAC will destroy them. I never realized how deep APAC is in our country
Oh
until
my
I
God.
started until I started like researching about
Oh,
Gaza. God for
so
president.
no, okay. So I'm starting this campaign. No, it's not me. I'm starting a little campaign, a little viral campaign that I want to happen. I'm pushing for Jeffrey Sachs to run with the Green Party in 2028. If folks don't know him, I mean, he's had a long diplomatic history and economic history, but his politics are on point as far as foreign policy. He understands fully what our government and our CIA has been doing around the world for decades. So he's who I want. I don't want Scott Free for president. I want Jeffrey Sachs. But thank you. That's very nice. But oh God, I would be terrible.
And one more time, I want to plug. I haven't seen anybody subscribe to our channel, and there's 81 people here. Woo!
Oh, thanks everyone. For being
That's
here.
a great crowd for a Wednesday night.
Wow.
Y'all. That's amazing.
Esmée, they're here for you.
Yep.
That is true.
Yep.
They're absolutely true. They're here for you. Thank
So-
you.
No.
Yes.
So, and we get guests from all over the country, and we also do a Saturday 12 o'clock like news of the day kind of thing, which a lot of the stuff we're touching on, we're going to go into more depth on Saturday at noon Central Time.
Central.
Yeah, but please subscribe. Get us to the 500 right now. 81 people. Let's blow through that number.
Yes. And Esmée, I can't. I mean, I don't mean to sound it like we're ending the show because we can keep going, but
Yeah.
I mean, you are such an inspiration. Oh my gosh, you are like the future of the Green Party. I mean, I can't tell you how much it means how active you are and how much you're doing, all the work you're doing. It's just incredible. You really give us hope because us old folks are like, oh God, this Green Party. Come on. You're doing the work.
Go.
Yeah, you are doing the work.
You know, I have severe ADHD and I've been a pest for the past 23 years of my life. So this is the work I love doing. I love getting into the greasy organizing work and just saying, okay, let's get through this. Let's do this. Let's go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you hope to be the first Green elected to Congress. So maybe that ADHD hyper focus thing is working for you.
And you know what? I really wanted to ask if I could. So how is Oregon's ballot access? Because, Illinois is a nightmare. What is ballot access like for you in Oregon?
Well, when I voted in 2024, the Green Party was on the ballot, and so were some of the other major parties. I believe that you have to have. I'm not announcing my campaign right now or anything like that. So obviously, I don't know the answer to this right now. I will once I get there. But I do. I believe that you have to have a certain number of. You have to have a certain number of signatures. Or you have to have your ballot access by the state. You have to run candidates in the election. That's not an area that I'm completely familiar with in terms of ballot access.
No, but just telling us that you guys did it in 2024, that's big. That's really, really important because, you got to get in the door. That's the first step is that ballot access.
Keep grilling me with questions, by the way. For a while.
Yeah, and the Green Party has so far the best structure to be on the ballot. So, just help us kick down the door and then we'll welcome other parties in. I don't think it's a problem. We might kick the other two out. get some different parties in there.
And it's, I always go back to that idea of voting is such an incredible personal act that somebody has the opportunity to do in the country. And I'm trying to convince people to just do the right thing in that ballot box. Do not worry about what anybody else is voting for, what your chances are of your candidate getting it. Do the right thing. You saw the movie in the 80s. Do the right thing. Just, vote the right way. And it's very obvious, with the Green Party and there are other good parties too, but independent parties. But you just vote the right way because that's what will make the change. If each person does that, like you said, the 2 billion people out there.
Yeah, and you don't have to tell anyone. You can just let them think what they want.
Right. Yep.
I tell everyone because I'm really proud of my Green Party vote, but that's me. Yeah. So I know you're thinking about that in the future. That's kind of like a goal of yours to be elected to Congress, right?
And part of that is understanding why people vote the way they do. I think that I've never gotten upset at people for voting the way they have. I think that, there are a number of people who obviously do with family members who, vote against their child's beliefs or vote against their child's identities, or, in some cases, there are people who voted against their own citizenship status, or they
Yeah.
voted against their own, their line of work or their business. And
Yeah.
I think that's because we have to talk about the fact that, companies like Google, companies like YouTube, or excuse me, companies like Google, YouTube is owned by Google now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Companies like
Amazon.
Amazon, or just search engines, especially like Google, what they do is they give you certain results based on where you are located. So if you're located in an area where more people are searching up, climate change is a hoax, then you're going to get more information about that versus if you're in an area where with a lot of protections on climate, like New York City or San Francisco. And it's very easy for people to fall into a hole where they get their news off of social media like Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. And you also have people who get their news off of Fox News or even Democracy Now! And stuff like that. You have to have a balanced news diet to be able to be informed about who you're going to vote for. And the only thing is that the reason why, in my opinion, the Democrats didn't win the last election was because they kept saying Trump is doing the wrong thing, Trump is doing the wrong thing, and there wasn't a lot of room for optimism. Also, their platform just wasn't fleshed out yet. Kamala Harris wasn't, I think that she was a fine candidate. I just think that she didn't have the best platform. I think that she didn't have, a progressive platform, and also she, was funded by a lot of corporate donors who sort of told her to ease back on some of that stuff. And Trump won because he was lying through his teeth about how he was going to make things better for people. And that sounds more positive to people. So they voted for that. And there's a lot of people who watch Fox News who are fed constantly that Trump is doing the right thing and that, the Democrats are the ones who are constantly in the wrong. And those people are going to vote for Republican every single time. Yeah. So we have to figure out how to get through those. And, I'm never going to tell somebody that because you voted this way or that way, because I think people are capable of change at the end of the day. And people are capable of, shedding their old views and coming into new ones. There's a reason why, I would hate to be held back based on who I voted for in a past election. Just like I would hate to be held back based on who I was 10 years ago, because I transitioned since then.
Good point.
And I think that growth can exist. And I think that's where the Green Party, especially, we should be adopting this idea that people are capable of change and people are capable of growth and people are capable of understanding. And it's our job as a party to help them understand, to help them find an area that they can contribute to, and help them, vote for a party that is going to fix all the issues that are happening right now.
Right.
And part of that is, like we were talking earlier about the education and all of that. That's a major one, is just giving people better education. I would love to do like a current events class in like schools as like a common curriculum where you could talk about it's a way where you can talk about religion and gender identity and all this stuff. And you do it in a way that allows people to understand what is happening in the outside world.
That's such a good point. I mean, our education system is the exact opposite. It's a bunch of parents running in and screaming, well, how are you keep teaching these to my kids? We should have an open system. I totally agree with you. We didn't have that when I was in school. That's for sure.
We just need to be I think as the Green Party, we just need to be advertising our own ideas rather than, there's a certain room of criticizing the other side about certain things. You can criticize the other side about policy, about, a platform, but when you start screaming at the other party over and over again, and you lose a lot of room for talking about your own ideas. And I think that's where, especially as the Green Party, we can evolve, we can grow.
Yeah, we try to create a balance. We have to make sure we call them out when they're wrong. And, Kamala Harris seemed like a fine candidate, but she was Attorney General of California when I lived in California, and we didn't like her at all. And she never won anything. She really never won anything on her own. She was appointed to be the nominee. She was selected to be Biden's VP.
Right.
Like, She won some stuff in California, but
She's a politician. She ran on a progressive platform in 2020. She toned it back to a conservative one in
Yeah.
2024.
Right.
And I'm not saying that, she's a bad person because of that, but I am saying, I mean, there's a very high standard that Black women in this country are held to in comparison to white people. I'm going to just say that out loud, first of all. Maybe that's part of why she lost, or maybe that's part of why, she had that. But there is a large part of it, which is the fact that the Democrats' platform wasn't as good as, the Democrats' platform wasn't good and the Republicans' platform wasn't good. That's why so many people didn't vote, because they felt like that. What is it going to do for the homeless person? What's it going to do for the person? What is a bunch of tariffs going to do for somebody who's eating out of their car or sleeping in their car?
Right.
Who's eating out of the trash? Like, you can't fix those things with tariffs or with or with book bans and all of that stuff. Those book ban people, we were talking about parents who are screaming right now. I can't tell you how many times I have asked parents if they've read the books they're trying to ban, and they've just said no.
Of course.
Wow.
Of course not.
Well, and there's the fact that most kids rebel against their parents. So if you tell them they can't, they will definitely do it when they get the chance.
Yeah, there you go.
I like to think that most youth, are pretty reasonable in that regard, and they won't rebel too hard. I think that's a common misconception in youth, but I think that there is definitely.
It's a natural part of growing up, about 17ish. Everything your parents are doing, you want to do the opposite for a while, and then you kind of come back to yourself.
Oh yeah,
it's a normal part of leaving home.
My favorite band when I was young was the Sex Pistols. Okay, that was definitely but I never grew up. Trust me.
I listened to a little bit of the Sex Pistols. They're pretty good.
They weren't that great of a band, but it was the shock. I mean, they just shocked everyone, and nothing like that really had been done before. So I was all into that. Yeah,
it was just so raw and in your face. I loved them.
Oh yeah,
and I like the Ramones too, even though they're a little cleaner. But I like the Ramones for the bounciness. It was just really cool.
I'm going to tell you all about that shock a little bit, because I think that's what Trump's campaign does especially well, is they have that shock factor. I mean, he just hires a bunch of people who say the worst possible things on, social media. They post the most controversial images, and it's designed so that they can get, engagement, so that they can get people like us talking about them. So that they boost the engagement for them, so they make more money that way. And number two, we lose focus on what we're doing. So I think that, as much as to say that, I'm not trying to say that we should be ignoring these problems because they're impacting people and they're people in power, but we should really pick and choose our battles more, especially. Yeah. And I think as a party, maybe we're 50% our platform and 50%, kind of criticizing Dems and Republicans for, rightfully so. In some ways.
I'm trying to make it an 80-20.
I'm trying to make it a 95%, talking about our things and 5% talking about, their things.
I need time. I need time.
I don't know that I'll ever get there. But good for you. But good for you. I really, no. That's really seriously. That's needed in the Green Party. I'm like the harsh critic, but no, that's absolutely needed, because you want to engage people so they want to be in the Green Party. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, I think that, that's in a lot of ways the just electoral politics in a nutshell. We engage people so they want to be here, and right now people don't want to be in the Democratic Party. So what I'm saying to them is, hey, you should join us. So we've got we've got cool chairs, we've got cool people, we've got cool glasses. I can give you a fun hat to wear.
Yeah.
I'm going to go through the comments. The comments have been blowing up, by the way.
Yeah,
and 82 people watching.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I wish 82 people would subscribe, but I'm sure most of them already have.
Yeah.
So I guess this is Greek. Ari Magoo.
Oh.
Palestine forever.
That part I understand.
Nice. And then here's the slogan for the Green Party: forget woke, you've been duped.
Oh yeah, I know. It does seem like they've
what I've seen with a lot of I'm a comms person, so obviously I focus on stuff like this, and I think that one thing I've been trying to clean up a little bit is just telling people that they've been duped, and obviously, or just making people feel like that they're a pawn in somebody's system, because I think people don't want to believe that. They want to believe that they have the power to influence their lives and change things for the better. So I've been trying to get rid of the duped language and
Okay.
understanding that people don't want to be told that they're run by billionaires, don't want to be told that they're being duped or that they're being tricked or they're being grifted. People just want to be told how to make change and what that we have to offer. We're not we're a political party. We give people solutions and then they vote for us if they like those solutions. So we should be telling them about our solutions more.
Yeah.
No, that's one thing I've been saying too. Like, you have a problem. Green Party has solutions. Just come on over. Let's work on this together.
Right. No, and in the online space, we talked about it a little before the show. In the YouTube world, the great thing about Sabby Sabs and Brianna Joy Gray is that they are very much into solutions, and that's why they talk Green Party quite a bit. I love Nick Cruz, RBN, and he's attacking everybody, and I love it. But Sabby, who's also a part of RBN, that's really her focus. She wants solutions. And that's why they always seem to come around to Green Party. And I think you're absolutely right. The solutions is what we should be pushing, because we have them in concept and mechanism to get them there. Obviously, the obvious one, stop the military funding. I mean, just cut it.
And then we can do stuff here.
Yes.
I'll tell you a solution we've been thinking about. That is, we've been talking about Jill Stein especially referenced this during a trip to Seattle. She was speaking at a conference. We were talking about all these military bases.
Yeah.
And how we can, we essentially pay other countries to use their land for military bases. And those bases happen to be near a bunch of oil fields. So it would be. And so what we can do is we can transition to clean energy. Yeah. And then we don't have to pay countries anymore. We save money this way. We save so much money in the long run. We're talking about, the big, beautiful bill saving money. No, we're going to be saving money with our Green New Deal. And we're going to get 20 million new jobs with that. That's the type of progress that people are looking for. And on that note, it's really just a matter of just presenting these ideas in easy to digest ways. That's all people want at the end of the day. They just want easy to digest material.
It's crazy. I follow foreign policy fanatically, and the reality is 98% of foreign policy is still oil. I mean, it's crazy, but that's what the fights are. That's the wars are about. It's still oil. We got to move past that. We got to get rid of all of that. Absolutely.
It's
we have the technology, we have the solutions. We don't have the political will, because the political will has been bought by the people that make money from not changing.
Right.
And what I'll say to that is, I don't care if the steering committee considers this to be an attack. If you're not doing the work to make this party better, then young people are not just going to be the future of the party. We're going to be the president of the party.
Yeah.
Well, we will run for your seats. Leadership in this party especially needs to be put on high alert, because there are young people who are itching to take over. They want their voices heard, they want their ideas implemented, and they want to make this party win. And if your strategy is not winning, you're either going to change it, you're going to get out. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're here for. We're here to, pressure the people in power to make these changes, both in the country and in the party. And that's what the Green Party does a really good job of. We've got a ton of firebrands in this party who are, incredibly passionate about the work that they do. And now we can direct that energy somewhere. So especially the steering committee, especially these other people, we're gonna, we'll run against you. We need some friendly competition here and there.
Oh, and what you're saying is absolutely right. The Green Party of today isn't even the Green Party of 5 years ago. I mean, there was a period of time and it was just kind of sliding. It was just kind of complacent. It just liked where it was, and it didn't, no. Things are completely different. And absolutely, the youth have to be the leaders in this new Green Party that we have. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I haven't even been here a year yet.
Yeah.
And I'm already doing so much more than I ever did with anything else I've joined, except for the March for Medicare for All.
Mm-hmm.
But that was overwhelming. I learned a lot, though. I learned some things to do and some things not to do. This has been a wonderful conversation.
Yes.
And,
what a great
if
show.
you want to stick around a little after, we do a little after party behind the scenes.
please.
But just a reminder that people can donate to the Illinois Green Party because we are building a candidate slate, statewide slate for 2026, and we need money and we need volunteers. And you can go to ilgp.org and find all that information, or you can just scan that little QR right there and $26 for 2026 or whatever you can afford, even if it's $5.
Yeah.
We're gonna need money and volunteers, and a lot of it's gonna be a lot of work, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. And as you can tell, we like having a little bit of fun.
Yeah. And please like and subscribe, please.
Yes. And everybody thinks you're awesome, Esmée.
Yes,
I
you really
agree.
are. Oh my God, you're the best. Woo!
You know what?
Oh.
It's totally not because of this like really cool orb and waving.
Well, but it helps. It helps. You have to.
Whatever
that
you
is
gotta do.
true. Yeah.
Okay, everybody tune in Saturday at noon Central Time for our news of the week. We'll be getting that put up pretty soon.
Yeah.
We got the show mostly put together, but we kind of wait to see if anything really big happens right before. So,
Yes.
And we'll see you next week. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
An uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising. Fight the power. It's an uprising. Fight the power.